Hi, I've been asked a couple of times recently for an example of the basics of turning a document into a common accord prose object. And I thought that I would use this little bit of current work in order to do that. So I'm taking a document that's highly structured in a certain sense, but not structured at all in another sense. This is Scott David's work for the Contracts for Data Collaboration, C4DC. It's in a PDF format, and PDF is, of course, fabulous for formatting in a certain sense, but it's, to put it mildly, a weird structure and fights itself all the time in terms of how stuff is organized. So I'm just going to take the introductory part, the sort of top taxonomy of Scott's work. And so what I want to do is to take this information here, and here we'll see if we can. So I want to take this information, his major headings, but notice as soon as I start to get down to the end of the page, then I begin to get this sidebar stuff and so forth. So what I'm going to do is to take each one of these pieces like this, and I'm going to paste them into a text editor, which is how all the software guys work and how we lawyers should work. I use Visual Studio as a way for doing that. And so what I've over here, I've got Visual Studio, and Visual Studio allows you to see all kinds of things. But what I'm going to do here is simply this. I'm just going to paste that thing in like that. So paste that in, and in order to save time, I'm actually just using the redo button here to show you what I've done. So I'm not actually typing this stuff this fast. Each one of these things is a section. Each one of them has a heading like that. So I'm going to call it section 1, section 2. Later we'll go through and give these meaningful names, semantic names, rather than. So then I pasted the next couple of sections, which comes from the next page of the PDF. And I'm doing the same thing like that. So that's section T7. This one has 2 sections in it like this, and 10 and so forth. And then in order to put all these things together, I'm going to reference a thing that I have that understands a document as having 10 sections. So it's in the GZ, and it says 10, but I should add in here OL. That means, that borrows from the HTML, borrows just the words, the letters from the HTML, but in that object I've got something that's set up for HTML things. And then over here, because this one has 2 sections, I've got to do the same thing, GZ, OL, and then this one is just lowercase sections. There aren't titles. So I'm going to have, so we have 2 sections here. I'm going to use the S, meaning it's just the sections, no titles, 2, like that. All this stuff is simply conventions that I worked up. And then I can save this, and I'm going to save it in, I'm going to save it in G. So I've said, and I've already got some stuff for Scott. So I'm going to scroll down and save it under Scott stuff, SL David. And it says data sharing. I'll have to go back. That's a form of agreement that he did. But I'll do what shall we call this thing? We should call it C4DC questions. Why don't we call it that? We can call it anything that a file folder will do, but we'll do a C4DC questions, C4CD. I'm going to call it a guide. Okay, Scott can fix that, and then this is going to be a form, so I'm going to put this in form here. At the moment it doesn't make much difference, but soon we're going to break this thing up into sections, meaningful sections. So, and I'll call it 0MD. 0MD just means that here it is, but it might change in the future. It doesn't have an official version number like that. So then I've got that, and now I can go over here to my browser. Let me take a brief stop first. I've got a little thing that runs a local website here with the appropriate software. So now back we go to Scott. So I'll refresh this page, and it should be I see that, and then I see the form, and then I see the thing, and then I see the work that I've done like that, and then it should be, if I haven't made a mistake, that we get the this thing all generated like that, and you can see the section 7 has got 2 of these sections, and if we decided we didn't want to have them numbered, then we could go back over here. We could go back over here if we wanted them just to be bullets. We could do bullet like that, and then it should be that we've got, yeah, okay, so then that makes it bullets. Now notice we're missing a title on this, so let's go back and see if we need to fix that. We're back in the Visual Studio Code, and up here, yeah, I didn't put any titles in this thing. I didn't put a title for the whole thing in here. TI equals, and then what are we going to call this? We'll go back to Scott's thing. Why don't we borrow this? Okay. And plain text. Like that, save, and then we'll go back and we'll refresh our page again. And it should be, there we go. So now we've got this, and notice as you mouse over, it'll tell you what each one of these things is understood to be. This, of course, currently isn't much help, but of course you can do deep linking, which you ought to be able to. How come I'm not clicking here? Don't know why that didn't click. So you could do a deep link to to, I don't know, 7. Okay, to show off, we'll do 7.1 sec. So yeah, that goes down to 7.1 sec, even though it's not numbered. Of course, it's in there because of that. And in the future, we'll probably call this thing reps. So then I should be able to get to that thing by saying rep like that. Of course, can't do it now, but as soon as I give semantic names, I should. So that's probably enough for this little piece right here. And if I can get back to QuickTime, I'll turn this fellow off.